Saion Gupta and I'm 11 years old. I'm the founder of thanksforthekids.com. And if you like this video, don't forget to smash the like button and share this video with as many people as you can. And if you're not subscribed to my channel yet, kindly do it so that you don't miss any of my videos. So without any delay, let's get started. And today we are gonna do a very interesting topic. So we are back with Java, and today in Java we are gonna learn about array list, right? So it is quite different from normal arrays, but we are gonna understand it today in this video, and this video is gonna be very interesting. So without any delay, let's get started. Damn. Okay, so first let's see what exactly array list is and what are the difference between a normal array and a array list, right? So the ArrayList class is a resizable array which can be found in the java.util package. So in our java.util package, we can find the ArrayList, that is a resizable array, meaning we can add or delete items from or to that array list, to an array list, right? So instead of like the difference between a built-in array and an array list in Java is that the size of an array cannot be modified. Like if you want to add or remove elements to or from an array, you have to create a new array, right? So that you can add that element or remove from that array, while elements can be added and removed from an array list whenever you want. So from an array list you can add or remove elements very easily, whereas from an array you cannot. So this is the primary difference, right? All right. The syntax is also slightly different. So the syntax that you give is also slightly different, right? So over here we'll just learn how to add items to an array list. Over here we are importing array list, java.util.arraylist. From the java.util package we are importing array list, right? Then we have a public class main, in that we have a main method. So what is happening over here? First of all, we need to create an array list object. So over here we are giving array list, then we have to give, oh sorry, command set, right? Then what we have to give, then we have to give that mouth bracket, right? That um, less than sign, right? Then we have to give the less than sign, and then we have to give the type of the type over here, right, of which type the elements in our array list are gonna be, right? And then we have to close it with the greater than sign, right? And after that we need to give the array list object name, right? And then you have to give the new array list, right? So array list, and then you have to give the less than sign, then you have to give whatever basically the items type will be, whatever the data type of items will be in the array. Then you have to give the greater to sign, that to close it, right, to close this part. And then you have to call it, basically you have to call it, right? Using these parentheses you are calling it. So syntax is a bit different, but over here we are, cars is an array list object that will contain string data type values, right? And then we are adding elements in it using add. So we use the add method to add items in an array list. So we're doing cars.add Volvo. So we are using the add method to add a new item, that is Volvo, in our cars, and we can only add strings because we have given over here that it should be all the items in it should be a string of string data type, right? Then we have given add BMW, then we have given add Ford, and then we have given add Mazda, right? And then we are printing out cars, so we'll get Volvo, BMW, Ford and Mazda. Let's see, because we have added all these and now they will be in our array list. So you see over here we are getting square brackets that we haven't seen till now. We have only seen curly braces in arrays, but over here we have square brackets in which there are all our items: Volvo, BMW, Ford and Mazda, right? The items we added. So to add an item in the array list you use the add method, right, of our array list, of the ArrayList class. right? Then now we learn how to access an item, right? So we are importing again array list. Then we have a main class in which we have the main method, and we are just creating a new array list object, that is cars, that can contain only string data type values in it. And then we are adding a lot of items: Volvo, BMW, Ford, and Mazda. And then we're doing system.out.println cars.get 0. So what will this do? There's a get method in the in our array list class. It is a public method that what does, um, sorry about that. So it get method, whatever index you give, that item will come. So if you give 0, the first item will come. If you give 1, the second item will come, because array indexes start from 0. So if you give 0, so the first item will come. If you give 1, so the second item will come, right? So we are doing cars.get, and in the function you pass the index, and whatever index you pass, that item will come. So over here we are passing 0, so that means we want the first element, right? So the first element is Volvo, right? So we'll get Volvo over here, right? Right, so this is the get method. Through the get method we can bring any value in the array list using the index, right? Now we learn how to change an item in our array list. So like if we have added an item but then we want to change it, right? So we are importing array list, then we have a class main, right? And then we have a main method in which we are creating cars object of the array list that can only contain string data type values, right? And then we are adding these four values. Then what we are doing, we are using the set method. So what the set method does, it accepts two arguments. The first argument is the index. The index is used to tell which to tell the set method that which element should be changed in the array list, which item should be changed in the array list. So we are giving index 0, that means we want to change the first item, that is Volvo, right? And we want to change it to Opel. So basically the second item is, to what do you want to change it, right? What value should you set, right? What value should you use to override its previous value? So we are using Opel to override Volvo's value. Why Volvo's value? Because we have said that override the first item by giving 0, because we are giving the index of the first item, that is 0, and that first item is Volvo, and we are changing it to Opel. Then if we print cars, we'll get Opel, BMW, Ford, and Mazda, because Volvo is now changed to Opel, right? So this is change. We have now learned how to change an item. Now we'll see how to remove an item, right? Now we'll see how to remove an item from our array list. So we are importing array list. We have a main class, then we have the main method, and then we are creating an object, right? We are creating an array list object, and it can only contain string data type values, right? Then we are adding four values, right? So we'll have Volvo, BMW, Ford, and Mazda. Then we're doing cars.remove 0. So the remove method basically removes whatever item you have specified. So specify the item by giving its index. So removing index 0 means removing the first item. Removing index 1 means removing the second item. So you're giving remove index 0. So what it will do, it will remove the first item, that is Volvo, right? So we will be left with BMW, Ford, and Mazda when we print out cars, right? So we are left with BMW, Ford, and Mazda. So using the remove method, you can remove an item from your array list, right? For example, you want to remove all the elements. So you import the array list, you have a class main, we have our cars object in which we can only have our array list cars object, which in which we can only have a string data type values, right? and then we are adding four items, and then we are doing cars.clear. So what the clear method does, it empties the whole array list, so it just removes, deletes all the items from the array list. And now if we print out cars, we'll get empty brackets, right, with no element in it, as now it has nothing inside it, as we have cleared it, right? So using the clear method, you can remove all the items that are there in the array list. Then we have array list size, right? So right, so over here we are importing our array list. We have a class main, then we have array list, array list string, right? So we are creating a card object of the array list, and it can have only string data type values in it, right? We are adding the four values in it, and then we are doing, there's a car size method that basically brings out the size of your array list. So the array list size, it will not start from 0, it will start it from 1, as it is not like a zero, like it will not start from 0, it will just start from 1. So it will just count how many values are there. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. So the size will be 4. The size method will return 4, as there are 4 items in it, right? So it counts how many items are there and then returns the value. So over here it returns 4 because there are 4 items in our array list, right? So we'll just comment this. Now we are on looping through an array list, right? So now we have done all the basic stuff, learned about the methods, but now we loop through the array list, right? Okay, so we have a public class main, right? Just a second. Right, so we have a public class main where we are having a main. Oh, sorry, I forgot to import over here. Import java dot util dot array list. Right, now we have imported it, and then we have the main method in it. We are creating an object of the array list that can only contain string data type values. We are adding four values in it. Then we are doing for int equals 0. So we are using a normal for loop. We are doing for int equals 0, for int I equals 0, I less than cars dot size. What it is saying, I is equals to 0, I less than cars dot size. So till I is less than cars dot size, loop in the for loop, right? And cars dot size is 4, so I is less than 4 because it is 0, I plus plus, right? So I will become 1, and it will just do print, sorry, I is 0, and it will go in the loop. It will, what it will do, it will print ln cars dot get I. So I is 0, so it will bring the 0th element, that will be volvo. Then it will go back, it will increment the value, check if it is less than cars dot size. So it is less than cars dot size. Right, so it has incremented the value. So 1 is less than 4 because 4 car dot size is 4. So it will go in it, it will do car dot get 1, so it will bring the first element, so that is BMW. Then it will increment in the next time, right? So it is now 2, and 2 is less than 4, so it will go in, it will do cars dot get 2, that will be Ford. Then it will increment, so it is 3, and 3 is less than 4, so it will go in and bring the third indexed element, that is Mazda. Then it will increment it, then in the next time it will increment it, check if 4 is less than 4, but 4 is not less than 4, so it will just go out. So it will print Volvo, BMW, Ford and Mazda, right? Quite cool, right? Same thing we can do using the for each loop. So we'll just see how to do the same thing but with the for each loop. Right, so we are importing array list. Then in our main class we have the main method, we are creating the cars object, the array list object, right? That is cars, and it can only have string data type values in it. Then we are adding these four string values, all the cars, four cars. Then what you're doing, we are doing for string I in cars. So what I you in this syntax, I will first be Volvo, then second time it will be BMW, third time it will be Ford, and fourth time it will be Mazda, right? And now it will print out for every time it will for every car it will print out I, right? So for every car it is just printing out that car's name. So basically for every car's name is printed out, so the same thing is happening that above was happening, right? So the same thing is happening, right? I'll just comment this out. Integer array list, right? So elements in an array list are actually objects. So the elements that are there in the arrays that you add using the add method, they are actually objects, right? They're not strings, not numbers, but they are objects of that data type that you give. So I'll just explain. So over here we are importing, for example, we want an integer array list, right? Oh, sorry, in which there are only integers. So we have a array list, we have a class main, then we in the main method we are doing array list integer. So it is saying that it should be of the integer data type, right? And now you see we are giving the integer wrapper class over here, right? So we'll just learn about wrapper class in our some of our later video, but for now just see that this capital I thingy is a wrapper class, right? So over here we are giving the integer wrapper class, right? That creates integer objects. So what is happening when you give string also, that is also in wrapper class, and when you give integer also, that is also a wrapper class. So elements in an array list are actually objects, because these wrapper classes creates objects of that class. So like over here integer we are giving, they are not int data type values, they are integer object values, right? So the integer objects, um um it will be integer objects in the basically our array list, right? It will be not integers but integer objects in our array list, right? So over here we are giving integer, right? So you just understood that there are like objects in our array list, right? Not the data type values, but objects, right, of every data type, right? So we are doing my numbers dot add 10. So what is happening, it is not adding the integer value 10, it is adding an object of the integer, right, of the integer class, right, with the value 10. Similarly with 15, 20, 25, then we are looping on our numbers, right, and we are printing out every number. So over here we had an array list object which contains right, so which had integer data type, integer objects only, right? So it contains this array list, my numbers contains integer objects, right? Though we don't feel it, we just think that there are numbers in it, but in reality there are objects, integer objects, these integer classes objects, right, in our array list, right? So we learned something good, and it printed out all 10, 15, 20, 25. Now we are on sorting an array list, right? So over here we are importing array list, then we are importing collections. So there's another collections, basically class, collections class, just a second, right? So there's another okay, so there is another collections class, right, that helps us sort array lists and all, right? So I'll just see, we have a public class main, we have a main method, then we have a array list that have string object values, right? String object values, right? That is cars, and then we are adding four string objects in it, Volvo, BMW, Ford, and Mazda, right? And then what you're doing collections dot sort cars. So in the collections class we have a sort method, and that sort method is a static method, as we are able to directly access it using the class. So that is a static method, and whatever we pass into it, it will sort it, right? So it will sort it. So over here we are passing a string, a, s- a array list that can only have strings. So it will sort according to strings, right? So it will sort according to strings. So when we loop on it, and um so it will just sort according to strings. So how it sorts according to strings, it sees the first letter, right? And whichever is the smallest, it brings that, right? Okay, right. So basically we all know sorting, what sorting is, it, right? So it sorts like on string. But if you want to sort on descending order, then what we do, we have in a collections class, we have a reverse method, right? We have a reverse method that can reverse the whole class. So after the sorting, you can just reverse the class, right? So have I written the spelling of reverse correct? Let me see. I forgot the spelling of reverse. Reverse. Right. Okay. So in this we have a reverse method that what it is collections. So in the collection class we have a reverse method that what does it, it reverses uh whatever collection type we give in it, right? So it reverses it. So first we sorted it and then we reverse it. So basically a sorted array list, if you just think, it is sorted in array ascending order, and if you just reverse everything, it will be in descending order. So this is how you can do it in descending order also, right? So you see we are getting now in descending order, but this is sorting according to strings, right? What if we sorted according to numbers, right? Right, so what if we sort an array list with numbers? So over here we have both of them, and then we have our um object also, and then we are adding a lot of bunch of numbers, right? And then we are just saying sort on the numbers. So it will see which number is greater, which number is less, and it will just sort according to the numbers, you seeing which is the minimum and putting it on the top, right? And then if we loop on it and print every number, so we'll get it in a sorted order, right? So we are getting it in unsorted order, right, as we have sorted it. And just to get it in reverse, you just do collections dot sort dot reverse my numbers, right? And this will just reverse it. I don't know why it is. Yeah. So it is now showing us in descending order. But this is not just the end. I just want to show you one last interesting thing, right? One last interesting thing. And that is when you're sorting on a string. So when you're sorting on string, right? So when you are starting on string, and if I just give 100, 20, 10, 200, right? We're doing on this. So what do you expect it to show? You expect it to show 10, 20, 100, 200, right? You expect it to show that. But just see. Oh, I've reversed it over here. Okay, I'll just run this again. But what do you get? 10, 100, 20, 200. That's not what you expected. But this is what is happening. What it does, it starts from here, it checks which of these is smaller. So 1 is smaller than 2, so all the numbers with 1 is coming above, right? Then it is comparing these one numbers. So this has more digits, so 10 is coming first and 100 is coming next. Then it is comparing 20 and 200 that are left with 2, and this has more digits, so it is coming below 20, right? And 20 is coming above 200, right? And this is how it is sorting. It looks at the first digit, then the second digit, then the third digit, then the fourth digit, like you do manually also. You sort it manually also by looking at that, but in numbers you always do max and min. But over here you are giving it a string, that's why it will sort it like a string, like how it does with the string, right? So this was it guys for our array list. Thank you guys. If you like this video, don't forget to smash the like button and share this video with as many people as you can. Thank you guys. Bye. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep watching my videos. Dab.